Danville City Commission meeting today. It's our regular meeting. Today is Monday, March the 10th, 2025, and the time is 5:30 p.m. We're going to be led in a prayer this afternoon by Commissioner Cottle, and then we're going to all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. So, Commissioner Cottle.
Thank you, Mayor. Heavenly Father, we appreciate the sunshine and the promise of spring, a renewed time. We ask that you be with all of us here and that we conduct ourselves in a way that's pleasing to you. And I would particularly like to ask for blessings for Coach Mike Swain, who's very ill at this point, and if we keep him in our prayers. It's in your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Commissioner Cottle. Want to stand, please? That Scout just came in here, right? What's his name, Donnie? Mr. Scout in uniform, you want to come down, lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? I know you highly trained, right? Call him out. All right.
If you all follow me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is John Paul Oliver. I'm a Star Scout, going for life.
Right. Well, James Atkins is here on behalf of the City Commission and for your dedicated service today. We'll present you with a little small token of the city.
Thank you.
All right.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. Good to see your city government in action tonight. You working on your public service merit badge?
Communications and citizenship in the community, sir.
Well, okay, well, you might see some inappropriate communications tonight, though, so sit tight, right? Thank you for your presence. Thank all of you all for your presence this afternoon. Next item on the agenda is the chair would like to entertain a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
I'll move to approve the agenda as presented.
Thank you, ma'am. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, ma'am. Also, any comments, additions, or deletions? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving our agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. Next on our agenda at this stage is that we hear the public. There are two opportunities to hear the public at this gesture. You may talk to us about items that are only on the agenda tonight. You raise your hand, be recognized, come up, tell us who you are, and we'll give you 3 minutes or less, and we will just listen to you. And if there's someone who is present tonight who desires to speak to us on things not on the agenda, there's a sign-up sheet out in the main lobby there that you may sign up on, and then we'll give you at that time in our agenda an opportunity to speak to us about items that are not on the agenda. And those of you who just arrived, if you did not get a copy of our agenda, it's on the table outside in the lobby as well, so feel free to step out there and get your copy of our agenda for tonight. Is there anyone for hear the public about items that are on our agenda for tonight? Hearing and seeing none, so we'll move right along then. Next on the agenda is approval of our minutes for our previous meetings. Again, the chair would like to entertain a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
I move to approve the minutes of the meeting on 2/24/25 as presented.
Second?
Thank you, guys. Any questions, comments, additions, or deletions? Hearing none, then the chair will call for the question. All those in favor of approving our minutes as presented, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, likewise, motion carries. Thank you all. Next item, Madam Clerk, second reading of ordinance number 2045, commission meeting time and date. Would you read that to us, please, ma'am?
This is the second reading of ordinance number 2045, an ordinance amending Article 2, Section 2-21 of the City of Danville Code of Ordinances, revising the regular meeting schedule of the Board of Commissioners.
Thank you, ma'am. So the chair is open to receive a motion, or the chair is open for a discussion, or whatever your pleasure is at this time.
I'll move to approve ordinance number 2045.
Would you state the time change in your motion, please, sir?
Yes, I can do that. We're going to continue the second and fourth Mondays of every month at 4:30 versus the time of 5:30.
Thank you, sir.
I'll second.
Thank you, ma'am. Any discussion? Hearing none, yes, ma'am. Oh, hearing none, the chair will call for the question then. Roll call vote, Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Cottle?
Yes.
Commissioner Peak?
Yes.
Mayor Atkins?
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Holland?
Yes.
Commissioner Saris?
Yes.
Thank you, Commissioners. Next on our agenda is Parks and Rec update, and we have Mr. Tommy Burton, who's our Director of Parks and Rec, to do a presentation to us this evening.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Commissioners. I apologize for looking a little foolish. I sat on my glasses this weekend, so I'm minus a leg. I'm down a leg, so.
I've done it many times.
Before we get into site visits, I just wanted to give us a quick update on Parks and Rec. This time of the year is a pretty busy time in our programming, as we are just finishing our end-of-year basketball tournament. So we have 61 teams vying for a championship in several different age groups. I sent you something we started last year as a little program guide that kind of reviews the year, shows the brackets, and it's something like you'd get at a real basketball game. At the same time, we've started our softball, baseball travel tournament. So this last Saturday, we had games at Ginny Rogers from dawn to dusk, and we also had softball games at Millennium dawn to dusk. So I commend all staff, top to bottom. They're working real hard. Maintenance has got the park looking great. I believe the fields look better than ever, and that is showing in our travel tournaments. We received many compliments on it. Next week, we'll finish our basketball tournament by crowning champions and cutting down nets next Saturday, and we will be hosting a 40-team softball and baseball tournament next Saturday and Sunday. So we're kind of just fighting to get through the day right now in our everyday things. Some of the other things we're doing, the Bunny Davis pool they began today fixing the leaks, which we've spoken with the county officials, and they're helping us out on that project financially. We have been diligently working through a new firework provider, which we'll have for you hopefully the next meeting, and we've been talking with county officials also about helping us financially. We're hoping to go with a company called Pyro Shows. They currently do all UK sporting events. They do the Tennessee Titans, and they also do a lot of NASCAR stuff. So they're pretty big. I forewarn you that prices have gone up in fireworks. But we'll see that next time. Jeannie Rogers, besides basketball games, is averaging over 100 people a day, just walk-ins. And we have a large pickleball group. We have a large home group that comes every day. All of our partners are providing classes, and plus we have a lot of kids running through there every day. And I commend Morgan. She's doing a great job running that place. As far as Bunny Davis, we're figuring it out, but we've noticed a lot more cars there, so we're looking into membership. We believe we're up 20 to 30 members from last year at this time. I can't confirm that quite yet, but we're figuring out a way to figure our membership program. So that's where we sit. And with that, I wanted to go into our site visits. I want to say we took 3 trips. Josh went with us. Melanie went on a few, and Yvette, our maintenance supervisor, also went. We took a trip to some in this area, some out in western Kentucky, and then we did a deep dive into the retractable roofs down in North and South Carolina, and visited what I call probably the Disneyland of recreation centers, the Morristown Landing in Morristown, Tennessee. So we're going to put a little slideshow together, show you what we saw, some of the things we learned. These are the ones in this area. Here you have Georgetown Pavilion, you have the Versailles Rec Center, and on the right there is the YMCA in Ashland, North Carolina. These were all built in 2000, and I call them, I'm going to refer to this as the cinder block. They were built in the early 2000s. They'll look a lot different on the outside of the newer ones, and that kind of will show you what the difference is. There's a big difference on how they design the inside. These cinder block ones are kind of built more like schools. There's a lot of hallways. There's a lot of multi-levels, stairways, hallways, corners and stuff. They're kind of confined. I would say they're more of an athletic club feel. They all had fitness centers, but they did not have concession stands. To a T, they all said they wish they had more multi-purpose rooms to be able to have parties, special event, corporate events. They all wished, and they all suggested, build as many of these as you can in your facility. I think each one had like one. They all had an indoor pool, and like I said, a fitness center. But what's different about their design is their offices and check-in rooms were in front, so they didn't have a lot of view of what was going on in the facility. So again, that goes to staffing. These had to have many on staff. I want to say the Georgetown had a lot, like over 10 had to be on staff at all times. I want to say Versailles ran it 5 or 6 on a shift. And the YMCA, which they have over 7,000 members, they had a lot of staff. Out of these, if you want to take a trip and look one, I would suggest the Georgetown. It's very well run, and they have over 5,000 members, and we were there on a Friday at 2 or 3 in the afternoon. I believe it was a snow day, but it was packed. It was beautiful. These are some of the ones we went in Western Kentucky, and they are all built since 2020. And as they are now, they're building them sheet metal and frame and tacking on some kind of entrance. The way they differ on the inside, on the far right in the bottom is the Sue and Brown Badgett Center. That's the one I was the project manager on. I set that one up, staffed it, and got it up and running. And what's different about these is that they're an open concept. I mean, it's completely open. And they usually have their check-in office, their attendance station directly in the center. And I know for a fact that the Bowling Green one, the Morristown Landing, and the Sue and Brown Badgett Center, you could see every inch of that rec center from the front office. And I know for a fact I staffed mine with only 2 on staff. Because of that reason, you could see everything. Bowling Green, I believe they staffed 3. Morristown Landing had a big staff, but they have a lot going on. And in that top right-hand corner, that is the brand new Madisonville one that just opened in January. They all have concession stands, but what they don't have is they don't do fitness centers. And that's something we want to weigh on. I believe the reason, since the difference between 2000 and 2020 is the market's been flooded by Anytime Fitness, all those private fitness clubs. They are more scaled for large events. So you're talking the big travel tournaments, you're talking corporate events, you're talking multiple rooms. I want to say Bowling Green had 4, Muhlenberg had 2, Madisonville only built 1, which I believe was a big mistake. Morristown Landing had several. I want to say they had like 6 meeting rooms. They also had a full-scale kitchen in theirs. Like I said, they're half and half, met for membership and local programming. such as basketball, futsal, volleyball. But again, they're all open. They all have multiple courts. And like I said, they're all one level, and you can see everything from the center. You can look and see the whole building from the center. And here's some differences in their gymnasiums. These are the newer ones. As you can see, they have one big multiple courts that are split with screens. None of them had less than 4 courts. That is Morristown Landing. On the left, they have the walking track up above. Top right is Muhlenberg County. That's during a basketball camp that I ran. And in the lower corner there, I believe that is the new Madisonville Center. They all have rooms for mass crowds. They have roll-up bleachers. Their courts are made larger so you can have walking around them. And as you can see, if we go to the ones built in 2000s, they're all confined. There's just room for a court there. So again, I think it was really, they were built for the needs of the times before the travel tournament boom. These gyms and the older ones, they just had like 2 courts. They had no room for cheerleaders. They didn't have barely any room for bleachers. Some had no bleachers whatsoever. So again, it was more of a club concept. That it was more for the individual, more for just smaller crowds and such like that. So that's kind of the big difference I see from 2020. Now they're building them with the travel tournaments in mind, which on this next slide you'll see why. This is Madisonville's. This is their first tournament, opened in January. I counted, I believe, over 500 cars there. Times 4 people in each car, you're talking there's over 2,000 people visiting that building, buying gas at their gas stations, eating in their restaurants, staying in their hotels. And believe it or not, you look at that huge parking, and I took this off of Facebook. The complaints were not enough parking, not enough parking. I also believe they made a mistake. They only put 1 bathroom in this facility. Oh. Yeah, well, it had multiple stalls, but 1 bathroom. But they said the lines were crazy. I don't know, Josh. There was some design flaws in this one. I felt. I hope nobody's from Madisonville's watching, but I mean, it was a nice facility, but we found some things we thought.
Yeah, we felt like this one leaned into the travel ball world more than we really need
Correct.
to here. It has 6 courts, which that's what you need now to host these very large tournaments. So it was in an odd spot of town. It was kind of way off the road down this new road that they had built. So it wasn't really set up I think the community approach that we're envisioning with what we're going to do.
This is the only one that didn't have yearly memberships. They charge, like if you were a kid coming in after school, it was $7 just to come in and play basketball. That was the highest price one we saw. Mm-hmm. So they are really gearing to that, which is not what we want to do. We want to dabble in that, I think. I don't think we want to be more for our local community and our local programs. But I just thought this picture was nice to see that, it's the old adage saying, if you built it, they will come. And this one, again, where that middle awning that's where its attendant desk is, so they can't see anything in that building. So they have to have at least 3 other staff just roaming. So as far as, again, and there's no fitness center in here. Funny story is the mayor was a big pushing this one through. The mayor owns a local barbecue. You should have seen this concession stand. It was a top-of-the-line restaurant. I mean, it was way overkill in my opinion. Gone were the nacho machines and hot dog rollers.
Well, and also when you talk about bringing people to town to spend money in your town, it's hard when you feed them all at the venue and they're not leaving and going to eat your local restaurants, which is kind of one of the goals is to.
But again, this is the sheet metal and frame style that they're all building now. Here we have the retractable roofs. In your top right-hand corner, that is the brand newest one. They just put on an old existing pool in Greenville, North Carolina.
South
right?
Carolina.
South Carolina.
South Carolina.
We were all over the place. That was their newest one. I will say the owner slash engineer inventor of this flew down from Indiana to meet us, and he walked us through everything. He was very knowledgeable, very caring about this project. It's a passion project for him. And that lower corner is that you'll see that's Josh checking out how it works as they opened it up for us. In the left-hand corner is their first build, their first commercial build. And this one was in, forget me, where was that? That was in Highlands,
North Carolina.
North Carolina, and it was 10 years old. We met the manager there who was in direct contact with the owner, said that they are in great communication with them. They all had nothing but great things to say about this company that builds these, and they're all still in contact with them. And the 10-year-old retractable roof worked just as well as the brand new one, although they have tweaked it and have a better design, which I'm not going to bore you with that, but there's less moving parts, which is always good. In the left lower hand corner is the Jewish Community Center in Ashland. This is in the heart of
Asheville.
Asheville. You knew I was going to say that.
Asheville.
Asheville. This one was a little more run down, but I would put that on some of the city constraints they had. They had to add those panels on the roofs. And I think, according to the owner, there was a lot of blowback and pushback, and it did have some wear and tear on it where the other two were in really good shape. But we were all impressed to a T. They all said they loved them. They thought they were great. If you look back on the early 2000 rec centers we went to, they all had pools, but they also had indoor pools and they had outdoor pools. So they were running two pools. And we questioned them, if you had a retractable roof, how would that be? They were all to a T said, that would be great. We wouldn't have to have two pools. We could just have one. So they all felt to a T that if they were building a new one, this is the way they would have liked to have gone. And we're going to see if this works. This is it actually opening, showing you how quick it actually happens and how easy it goes. It's something like straight out of NASA, but it's really a simple design. It's a little gear that runs on a chain, and you push a button and it opens up. Yeah, So this was luckily this was the day after the snowstorm, so we got to open it up. The trip down there, Josh did a great job of driving through the small roads in the snowstorm to get there, but once we got to this place, it was a pretty nice day. That's not Josh swimming, no.
No, it's not. That guy was very surprised when he got done with his lap. He looked up and this roof was open.
Yeah. So that's how that works. Very simple. Within 30 seconds, it goes from an indoor pool to an outdoor pool. I would say the temperature, the circulation was great. This one had an over-the-top circulation. They had fans everywhere. They do have a radiant heat coming down. But then we went to the one in Ashland, and they had no fans, right?
Yeah, that was one of the lessons they've learned in the last 10 years
Yeah.
is to air circulation. There was there's sliding windows all over the sides of this one that you could open up and let air flow through.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just been, I kind of jump in and kind of elaborate. When we've looked at all these pools, we've noticed a lot of difference in the different places we've gone, just the activity that's in these
Right.
pools. When you have just your basic indoor lap lane, you have some folks there using it, but it's very low key and very small groups, and you have to program a lot of it.
Mm-hmm.
When we've gone to places that have had, especially during the wintertime, that have had indoor more play features, slides, just like almost like a little splash pad area, like a little playground area. And I don't know if you have any pictures of those, but it's just a huge difference in the activity.
Yeah,
You've got 40, 50 kids there. It's a lot different feel. And I think this provides you an opportunity to have that in the outdoors in the summer and also have it in the indoors in the winter, which is something we just don't have here at all.
correct.
So it brings in a whole new, aquatic feature that in no way is served here anywhere else. So it's been really interesting to look at even some of the places that have similar features, just the way they program it changes how their use is. And we learned a lot.
Yeah.
Going to these different pools and talking to different people about how they function. You know, the indoor pools, like one of the good things I like about the retractable roof, it doesn't require an HVAC system. It's non-conditioned, which is why the circulation is really important. But that means you just don't have that equipment to take care of. When we went to these indoor pools that were just truly indoors, we talked a lot about, especially the 20-plus-year-old ones.
Yeah.
HVAC systems are a huge concern for them because it's a very humid and corrosive environment that all this equipment is in. So I think Georgetown had just spent, $100,000 or something like that on replacing their HVAC system. So, which is standard, but here's something you just don't, you might have to replace a $5,000 fan or something like that instead. So,
Right, it was all very replaceable. The heaters,
Yeah.
the fans, everything was not big money. The way this also works is it's open from sides, but on one end or the other is your pool house. So you're not going outside. You're coming straight into the bubble, which is that's one thing we learned on how to design it from the owner's standpoint, and that's just another great feature of that. Here's what Josh is talking about. On the very bottom right, you'll see the Versailles pool. There's no features. There's no spray pads, and there's no people there. If you look up in the top, that is Morristown Landing. You'll see 20 to 30 kids in that play feature area, and the pool empty. So he's right. It's very vital to add some play features. Now these are back to the ones that aren't in retractable roofs. These are just covered pools. But when talking to the owner, you can add these features and it doesn't affect the roof at all. The Morristown Landing, that was 3-4 o'clock on a Friday.
Yep.
Which I thought they had a great program. It was Friday. It was homeschool day, so all the homeschool kids in the area came there and they got to basically have their run at the place. It brings the families, it brings the kids all year long if you have those play features. So that's what this slide is designed to show you. And then what I noticed is everybody kind of had their own little unique little feature. Of course, that middle slide, that is Morristown Landing, and that is an incredible, it's not a climbing wall, but it's almost like a climbing playground. Where the kids have the harness and, they're climbing all up and down those, and those are pretty high. I mean, that goes up to, I don't know, how high do you think those are? About 30 feet?
Yeah, 25.
25 feet?
Yeah.
And I believe they use this for corporate events too, where they'll get their team building and do things like that. In your right-hand corner, that is a golf simulator at Shelbyville. In your lower corner, that's Madisonville. They did a full indoor turf field. In the left corner there, that is Bowling Green, where they partnered with their library, and they have a children's library in the facility. And of course, on top there, that is Versailles, I believe, and that's their walking track, but it's above the gym court. So I don't know what that special feature is. Maybe it's the retractable roof, which that's special. But I just think that it's smart to think of that special feature that makes our facility different than anybody else's. I would say on an average, most of them charge $5 for a visit. For a membership, I would say that it was average $50, right?
Yeah, that's right.
A year, a month for a yearly membership. The unique one is Bowling Green. They don't charge. If they live in the district, they use it for free. But that's Bowling Green money. They got a lot of houses going up. I want to say Morristown Landing was $5. I know Muhlenberg County's $3. Georgetown was $5. So that's your average fee. They varied in memberships, and it really varied on how the facility was run and how it was promoted and marketed and the outreach. Shelbyville looked like it had seen better days, and their memberships were down. They were very low staffed. They were very low funded. They seemed a little depressed, but again, I hope Shelbyville's not listening to this. Georgetown was huge, had people all over the place, members everywhere, staff everywhere. And it was where it was located also. It was located in a big suburb, I believe it is. Donna was the one that kind of suggested going to that place. So that's about all I have. If you have any questions on it, if I recommended, I would say Georgetown to kind of see that old school kind of athletic club look. And if you wanted to see the multiple use, kind of half and half for locals and economic development and tourism, I would definitely, it's worth the trip to see the Morristown Landing, because that's probably the nicest one I've seen, you know. This was 11 visits, but I've been to, you know, not hundreds, but, you know, 20, 30 of these rec centers in my career. I'd have to say that's one of the nicest ones I've seen.
Yeah, it was, just for reference, that was a $35 million
Yeah.
project they just completed. It was fully city funded.
And they actually got a tax installed for the facility.
Yeah. And they've actually farmed out the operation of
Yeah.
that facility to a private company.
Which Madisonville did the same.
Madisonville did the
Sports-
same company, yes.
Sports Management, Inc., which they go around, and I don't know how it works. Actually, the city pays them a fee to run it. I don't know, we don't have to necessarily, we're looking more for our own community. I would think that we could handle 10, 15, 20 travel tournaments or whatever a year, but it's not like, I don't think we should rely on it as we got to have this full every weekend with out-of-towners.
Yeah, and a little bit on the fitness center side of it, that's one thing that really stuck out to me, especially this last trip we made. Just when you talk about memberships, you know, in Morristown, they're really, surprisingly to them, I think they're living off memberships right now. They
Right.
thought it would be travel, corporate, and they are at 8,000 members of that facility in a town of 30,000. So it's, you know, bigger than here, but 8,000 members is a lot.
And I think it was like 51% local, 49% out of the town were members.
Yeah, but they also have a top-of-the-line fitness center.
Yeah.
And I think some of the facilities, when you see those membership numbers get up in the thousands and thousands, that's the fitness centers driving a lot of that. A lot of the activity we saw, especially the YMCA's we went to in Greenville and Asheville, you know, you have a lot of fitness center activity. So I think we're in a kind of we're actually in a situation I think is different than any place we went and looked at when you really dig into what we need. So I think it's helped me kind of dial in on, okay, we're not going to get the fitness center membership numbers that these other places are getting. We we have places here now that fill that role for the community.
We're almost, you know, we have Planet Fitness, the Wellness Center.
Yeah.
I mean, it'd be hard to compete with those.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about facilities with thousands of members, and we run about 120 to 150 at Buddy Davis now. So this is, you know, different scale of membership kind of outreach. But when you talk to Morristown, and he's like, well, 40% of the members here are members just for the pool. Okay, so if we recreate a pool atmosphere like what they have, maybe not to the scale that they have. Their slide is, 30 feet tall, that kind of stuff. We don't have to go to that realm. But if we get something in that realm, you know, and they're talking 40%, so that's, 3,000, say 3,000 of their members are members for the pool. And you kind of adjust that for our community. I mean, I think you're looking at a pool that's, if we run it well, we take care of it, we're looking at a pool that can sustain, we were talking 1,500 members to 2,000 members probably.
We'd hope for that, yeah.
We're not going to be $50 a month. You can't do that just for a pool. So, I mean, but that's good revenue if we're at the $20 a month or something like that, especially if you tack 4 gymnasiums on the side
Right.
of it or something like that. I don't know. So I think we're getting a better idea of the revenue I think that was kind of a question mark for me, especially the membership side of it. I think Tommy could really throw down the travel ball numbers and we
Yeah.
could feel that revenue really quick. But I think the membership numbers, I think, are really dialing in for me after seeing these other facilities and kind of comparing what they're telling us across the board, so.
And the multipurpose rooms, I was amazed at how many rentals we had in the old rec center that I ran. I mean, we were talking 2, 3, 4 a week. And if you build them right to where you've got a party room next to the gym, you've got a party room next to the pool, if you strategically put them where they need to be, that's where a lot of other revenue comes from. I mean, even Jeannie Rogers, I mean, we have parties rentals there all the time. And then you tack in a couple of multi-purpose rooms. So we do want to be able to provide our aerobic classes and our step classes like we do at Bunny Davis. Those aren't costly. And we want to have those multi-purpose rooms. We talked about, we do have a small racquetball community that, that needs to be addressed. But also in your pack that I didn't do a screen for is on the back, you'll see some blueprints. Those are provided by the architect that I worked with in Muhlenberg County. So that's kind of just you to get a setup look at it and see how they divide it. And you'll see how open it is, the big hallway with the meeting rooms. You'll see how the office is in the middle. He designed the Bowling Green ones, Muhlenberg one, and he's the guy that's putting it in Lebanon as we speak. And I believe I got you the blueprints in all of those. They're all very similar, but they have a slight different design to their front ends and where they put their meeting rooms and such. He's kind of carved out a niche for building these. He's kind of the guy who's been doing these kind of quick frame and steel sheet metal style.
The open floor, open space is something we've learned quickly at Jenny Rogers.
Yeah,
Is
yeah.
that if there's places to hide, teenagers will hide.
Yep. You
So
don't wanna have
Tommy
corners
just
and
puts up
hallways.
doors and locks doors and gates and just blocks
Yeah.
off spaces constantly. So
That's-
the more we can keep it open, that was one big difference between the older ones and the newer ones. The older ones had a lot of hallways and nooks
A lot
and
of hallways, a
crannies
lot of
and-
corners,
Yeah,
a
and
lot of
these
go
new
down
ones
this
are-
hallway and go to
yeah.
this room here. The fitness centers, like you almost need a map to get through it. Where the newer ones, you walk in and you can see exactly where everything is. And they, like I say, they build double bathrooms everywhere. And like, again, the newer ones they all have concessions where those old ones didn't even think about a concession stand. Although their youth programs were running out of them. So that's what we've learned, and that's what we've seen on the 11 visits we made.
Commissioners, you all have any questions?
Where do we go from here?
Oh,
Yeah, I think that you probably have some good ideas on what you would like to have. And you and Josh have been doing a lot of research and what fits this community. I think you made a few statements like, we don't need to do that. We don't need to be there.
Yeah. I've sat down with Stephanie, our athletic supervisor, and we can run our basketball program with the aid of Jeannie Rogers that we have. We can run our basketball program on 2 courts. So if you built 4, you'd always have 2 open to the public or to rent out or to, so you wouldn't be shutting the facility down for 3 months a year because we got a basketball program. So, but we've done the numbers on that and planned it out on that, so.
I'd like to go on the field trip and see them personally.
Yeah, I would say the Bowling Green one is really, and they have a few, but they're all designed by the same guy. Bowling Green ones are real nice and really well run. They have all kinds of cheerleading competitions and focus. They have the 4 basketball court one they built in 2020, and they went ahead in 2022 built 6 more, right? Indoor tennis courts next to it. So it's like a huge complex. But yeah, the Morristown Landing, what is it, 3-hour drive?
Yeah,
I think Earl checked that one out too. I think.
the managing company there, the deficit that was supplemented by the city, by local dollars, whenever so they generate revenue from programming, right, and their memberships. And given the capital expense, the manager indicated to me, the city in the second year is only supplementing them $600,000 for the entire operation. And they were expecting to add about 3% more membership in the fiscal year and felt like that they would get down around 300,000 by the end of the calendar year. So there's a lot to consider in what you put in the building. Your programming space is what's going to generate your revenue. That's going to offset your expenses, or your investment. The gym space, for example, Morristown Landing, they were using that as a, they had a gala the night I was there. They had half the court blocked off. They had dining set up that generated, it was a large-scale gala. Then the hospital, which was, they had Covenant Health as a leaseor, as a partner. The city floated the bonds. Covenant Health rented as a tenant. They were doing their gala, their fundraising gala in the other half of the gym that night. So then, so they're programming everything. They did catering for those facilities inside of the building, in their little kitchen. They didn't, you didn't bring outside catering in. They catered it, which was a savings. Theoretically, they felt like they could do that cheaper, but that was a significant revenue stream. They did all the way down to, they printed T-shirts. If you're going to have a baby shower and you wanted 10 custom T-shirts, they did that type of detail. Now then, so saying all that, there's a lot of pieces to how you design something like that has to be considered if you're talking about how we generate revenue off of it to offset expenses so that it's not competing with the existing revenue streams you have. Requires a lot of thought. It does require, and I say this again, I struggle to let it go, is the partnership idea. We have to have partners to be able to afford it. Morristown Landing, the population of Morristown is 30,000, ours is 19. They had 8,000 members in their building in this year. They were going to get there. We've got the Wellness Center here has 4,000 members. So we're not disproportionately aligned with some of those ideas, but what's important to understand is that requires a lot of technical approach to the development of your building program and technical concepts with capacity analysis of your gym space. So it's not as simple like the bathroom example in Madisonville. You have one bathroom, but it gets blocked up because there's only one door to get in.
Right.
But if you had two different bathrooms and so you have two entrances, then do you double the capacity of your bathrooms, right? So there's a lot of things like that are technical in nature that get exhausting in a meeting like this. And so one of the steps, Commissioner Sears, is to sit down with Josh and Tommy and go through that with the architect and try to develop some definition. Really, it's always important to define, add a little layer of definition to it and talk to those entities that are here, like the hospital, the Wellness Center. We've talked about that before, but we got to circle back to that and close that conversation. One of the things that is still pressing is that, for example, with our outdoor aquatics, you're looking at a population of about 900 you're trying to serve statistically. And the Bunny Davis pool, if we do spend the money there, that deck's not going to necessarily, that pool's not getting bigger. So you're not necessarily going to go from 200 people to 600 people that you're serving at that footprint. So there's a lot of technical things that we have to address in order to be able to go to the next step. And I would suggest that while we're doing our site visits, so you can get your head around what you would like to see in a facility, I think there's some technical work that Josh and Tommy need to do with the architect and to add a layer of definition to it. I think it would be healthy if some or all or several of you could go to a couple of things, a couple locations. The Morristown Landing one is a good one strictly because of the amount of effort they go into programming to generate revenue to offset expenses. That is not as simple as just running leagues through the building. You're not going to break even running leagues through the building. They leased one room, one of their group fitness rooms, they leased out to a corporation. The corporation spent money on it to do their corporate training out of that room. And it's just a lease, and it's designed to be at the Wellness Center. So they rely on corporate interaction for revenue that if you just go into it looking at it from a Parks and Rec mindset, you might miss those opportunities. And so what we want to do is identify as many of those as we can and do it as thoughtfully as we can. on the front side. And so the next step is for them to do that. You all get scheduled and then follow up after you all can go to, I would suggest going to Morristown Landing because that's the most comprehensive facility that I've been exposed to. And a couple of the local ones going to,
The Georgetown
the
one.
Georgetown
Yeah.
one is a great idea. I've been there. And maybe to some of the newer ones down in Bowling Green, it's also a good idea to, I've been to the ones in Bowling Green he's talked about where the tennis is. And so that is your process, and that's the next few steps. And so
Right.
what Josh and Tommy and I will sit down tomorrow, hopefully, if all goes well, after the management team meeting sometime, and kind of work towards that scope, and then we'll get that back to you.
Yeah. I will state, as far as naming rights, naming courts, naming the building, in Muhlenberg County, we did that prior to the build, and it went really well, and we sold everything. And I believe Morristown Landing had put their partnerships in before the build, where Bowling Green and Madisonville were hoping to do it after the build. And I would recommend getting that lined up before. I don't know if they're actually going to get it. You might go to, it might be 3-4 years from now in Madisonville, they're still not going to have names on those courts.
That's a great point that Tommy made.
Yeah.
Some of that front-end partnership is 100% necessary to get on the front side. But one of the things that Morristown Landing did is incorporate space to do sponsorships on or corporate branding on an annual or biannual cycle. And so you had, he had just accepted bids for
That's
a
right.
$30,000 annual payment for a 2-year period for a corporate user to put their brand up on the building. When you first came in, the main foyer, you would see their logo.
That's right.
And so there was cooked in ways that they, on the front side, designed intentionally so that they could generate revenue from it. Now, you would say that, well, what company wants to do that? Well, when you got 8,000 people walking through the door that are local and you're a new bank to town, that's the best way to build your brand is having it right up front when you come. So there is a market for that.
Right.
And they had success down there.
So that we can move our agenda forward.
Yeah.
I want to tell Tommy and all those who presented this, put this presentation together tonight, thanks, very informative. Next steps from the commission is continue this work, come back with more specifics that are geared towards the Danville Board County community. Then I think the second task identified tonight is that as a city commissioners, we're going to do a little traveling
There
and
you
try to
go.
go out and see some of these things. I've ridden with Josh before, so Josh, you might be called out again.
Well, at least you'll have better weather, I think.
Yeah, better weather, okay. Well, well, thanks again.
Thank
And
you.
then,
Yeah, thanks, Tommy.
This is very professional. Kids and families will hopefully hold on to that. That's really, really neat. But we got a lot on the agenda tonight. That was good. Okay, next item is Resolution 2025-03-1001, Health Insurance Proposal. Mr. Boyd.
All right, thank you, Mayor. Just before we get started, I did want to share one point. Originally, with these type of proposals, our hope was to bring it to the commission at a prior meeting and then bring it for recommendation. Unfortunately, we didn't get final carrier rates until after our last meeting. We'd hoped to do a 2-point discussion on it, but we went back and forth. John Funkhauser's here with Johnson and Pullman. It helped us. We went back and forth on negotiating rates. I just want to point that out, that we had hoped to bring that at a 2-point discussion because it is a lot of information to absorb. But unfortunately, with this year, we just didn't have, the timing didn't work out to do that. So I want to just point that out before we go into it. So that being said, in front of you, you've got our proposal for our new health insurance plans. Just for the public's benefit, our health insurance renews May 1st every year. So that requires us to go through most of our contracts are 1-year contracts. We have to go through and do annual renewals, primarily on our medical plan. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to go through this, summarize the plan recommendations by plan type. I've got some graphs in here to look at from the cost impacts of those plans. And we can also talk about kind of what our strategy was with the plans this year. So the first thing we did, and we talked about this back in January, one of our goals was to get in front of our employees through our annual town hall meetings and talk to them about challenges they've seen with the health plan, feedback, just so we can make sure that those benefits meets our workforce needs. But we'll go ahead and, so part of that is built into this proposal for you. So with that said, our medical plan, we're going to start there. Currently, the city is a self-funded plan. Aspirant is our TPA. Anthem is our medical network. And then we have TrueRx is our pharmacy benefit manager. Those carriers have done a really good job for us. That network's strong. We get a lot of network discounts both at the employer and employee level. And we've had that plan since, I think, 22 is when we switched to it, 22, 23 year. Now, with that being said, we are experiencing an increase on the medical side. There's several variables there that has drove that, which is, we've added more members to our plan, not necessarily employees, but we see more members added to the overall plan, which, is going to increase your cost. Also, inflation, provider rates, pharmaceutical is a big part of that too. We've seen an increase in pharmaceuticals in the last probably year and a half. With that all being said, that has increased those medical rates, along with some higher than anticipated claims for the current plan year. So with that being said, our current plan, the maximum liability on our current plan is $3.2 million. That is the max that you would pay under the plan year. We are projected to reach our maximum liability for this plan year. For renewal, our plan would be $3.7 million. That is a 14% increase over the current year. But what I do want to point out is, and kudos to John and his team, we actually were looking at probably more around a 50% increase at the original proposals, and we went out and negotiated reduced rates with the stop-loss providers, which is why it took us longer to get the proposal in front of you that we would have liked to. So I do want to point that out. In the recommended plan design, there's no changes for the members, meaning your co-pays, deductibles, your out-of-pocket limits, all those are staying the same. We looked at those plan designs, John and I did, really making any changes to those really would be a very marginal impact on the overall cost reduction of the plan to the city. So that is what we're looking at for the medical plan. And again, I also want to keep in mind that the scope of covered services is actually, we're recommending keeping that. We're actually looking at trying to expand some of it, so that way that plan, meets our members' needs. Okay. Any questions on the medical coverage before we go on? Okay. All right. So I want to talk about our ancillary plans. This is an area that we had a lot of focus on that we really were hoping to get to for the probably last 2 years. John and I talked about, but this is a year that we've really dived into that for a multitude of reasons. A lot of that is based on employee feedback too, and some of their needs. And again, when we talk about these health plans and we look at our overall strategic plan, this is a big investment in human capital, especially when we talk about recruitment and retention of key personnel for the city. So with that, the city's current dental plan is with Delta Dental. With Delta Dental, without any plan design changes, we were looking at a 5.5% increase renewal, which is approximately $7,000. So one of the things that we wanted to do is we decided we would like to put that dental plan out to market to see if there's a better overall dental plan that would bring better value to the city and employees. Part of that too is our dental utilization has gone up this year, which is really good because we've talked a lot about that through wellness, like having your annual teeth cleanings, getting your oral exams. We went from the prior plan year, I don't know, it's probably somewhere around that 15% utilization to this year, we saw a 69% utilization on dental, which means that our members are getting their checks with their dentist, and it's becoming more of a need among the workforce. So we put it out to market. Humana Insurance of Kentucky has came back with a proposal to us. The current dental plan right now, you have a $1,500 annual limit on your plan. All your preventatives are covered at 100%. Your basic services are covered at 55%, and your majors are covered at 50%. Well, Humana has come back with and one of our goals was to see if we could expand coverage beyond that $1,500 limit. So what that means is any member on the plan, once you hit $1,500, during the plan year, you get no additional dental coverage beyond preventative services. Now, with the Humana plan, they propose a new plan for us, which would be, right now, Delta would be $135,000 annually. The Humana plan would be $138,000. That is a $3,000 increase over the renewal rate from Delta. All encompassing, it is $10,000 more than the prior year. So in simple terms, Humana's offered us coverage for employees beyond, that would increase, basically, their basic services go from 55% to 60% covered, or excuse me, yeah, basic services from 80 to 90, I'm sorry. And then major services goes from 55 to 60. But what's really important about this proposal from Humana is now, instead of having a $1,500 cap, you got $1,500. Once you reach that, then you pay 30% coinsurance beyond that. So that, basically, it does not put a cap on the amount of dental services. So for a good example, if somebody had a $10,000 dental bill right now, the plan would cover $1,500. The member would be on the hook for the other $8,500. Under the Humana plan, the member gets the $1,500 allotment and then would pay 30% of the $8,500 of that additional $10,000. So it expands the dental coverage for a marginal increase over the Delta renewal of $3,000. So for $3,000 more, we'll be able to expand that dental coverage for the members by going to Humana. And John, feel free to chime in here. I think you looked at the market, the networks. Most of our providers in this area take Humana, so the network is also strong, which is one thing that we wanted to focus on, was making sure that network coverage was strong and that providers would accept Humana insurance, and that seems to be the case. Yeah, so orthodontics, that's another thing. Right now, we have $1,000, I appreciate you reminding me that, $1,000 limit on orthodontics. That also goes to $1,500 under the new Humana plan for dental. Okay. All right. So that's our recommendation on the dental plan, if you have any questions on that.
I was just concerned about the network, because I had asked a couple of dentists in town, hey, do you take Humana? And their answer was, different ones, and again, you wouldn't know until you got into it, but you want it to be good coverage, and they say, some were like, well, all of the cleanings are covered, but they always have to get a pre-authorization for any dental work prior to it happening. So, I just worry about the network coverage.
Yeah.
'Cause
Yeah, and I think that's, John, you can probably answer some of that on that, but I think we looked at the network. A lot of dentists do take that. One thing under the Delta plan is there's two different networks there that we don't control. There's what's called a PPO and a Premier. So when you go into the Delta, if your dentist is in the, I think the Premier network, you may have more expanded coverage. The PPO, I think I may have those backwards. But anyway, it's whatever network they have, it's not up to the employee. You go in, those providers sign the contracts. With Humana, we don't have those different networks, and so
Right.
that really is advantageous to the members. And
okay,
and you're right, and that was actually my very first question was, okay, what's the network coverage look like?
Right.
This plan looks good, but if the networks didn't make sense, then we really didn't find a value in switching. But we feel like there is value into that based on what we've seen with providers. Now, that's not to say that every single provider is going to take Humana. They could change their contracts at renewal. But we've also seen that with Delta. We've seen some of our local providers drop Delta coverage in the last 2 years. We've seen that kind of trending upward with local providers here. Okay. All right. And then any other questions on the dental coverage? Okay. Now, on the vision plan, same thing there. One of the things we want to do is we got feedback, our members would like to try to expand vision coverage. We actually tried to do that last year. We didn't really find a good plan on the market. Currently, right now, the city has VSP, which is administered through Delta Dental. As it stands, you get a $10 copay, you get an eye exam every 12 months, you get a $25 copay on prescription glasses. But the real coverage item on the vision plan is you get a $130 allowance for contacts every 12 months or $130 for frames every 24 months. And so one of the things we wanted to do is try to see, can we expand on coverage similar to dental, we wanted to see if we could expand that coverage beyond that $130 per plan year, but also make sure that monetarily it made sense. Humana also came back with a good quote for us. Same thing there. First question I had was, do we have market coverage on good network and market coverage for Humana? The answer to that is yes, we do. So with Humana, what they have come back is our plan right now with VSP, we're under a rate guarantee. We currently pay about $30,000 annually for vision insurance. With Humana, you would be increasing that coverage to $33,000 a year, but one thing that you get is you also get additional discounts beyond that $130 allowance. So for example, if somebody needed new contact lenses, they've used their $130. Under the current plan, you get no additional coverage under the plan year. Now, under the Humana plan, you get that $130. Once you hit that cap, then you get 15% discount on everything over $130 for the plan year. So again, it allows for more coverage beyond what we currently have. And that would be a $3,000 increase. And so we're recommending making that change to Humana for our vision plan. All right. Okay. All right. So we'll transition into our life insurance plan. So currently, the city utilizes Hartford Life. We utilize that for basic life insurance, which is paid for by the city for full-time employees. We also have our voluntary life insurance program where employees can take out at their own cost supplemental life insurance for employee, spouse, and dependents. And then Hartford also, which we'll talk about here, is they cover our short-term disability and long-term disability plans. With our basic life, this was another area that we wanted to really look at to bring value to our employees. We are under a rate guarantee with Hartford, but at renewal, Hartford's basic rates are based on salary volumes. So our rates are calculated based on the salaries as of May 1. If the city gets salary increases in July, that's after the plan year begins, we're guaranteed those rates for the whole plan year. But then the following renewal, while the rates may stay the same, your premiums will go up because your salary volumes go up based on higher employee salaries. So right now, the current plan year for basic life is $22,000. With no changes based on salary volume, it would go to $26,000 for the new plan year. One of the things we wanted to look at there, and this is another area that we looked at last year, but we kind of deferred that. But with the higher volume of life claims that we've seen in the city, unfortunately, we've paid out probably 3 life claims in this plan year. We felt like this was an opportunity for us to try to expand coverage to our full-time employees plus our first responders. So what we've recommended is, right now, the city currently provides 1.5 times basic life insurance to employees. We're recommending taking that to 2 times their salary. Also, your first responders have a $50,000 line of duty rider. We're recommending taking that to $100,000 for line of duty rider. All in total, that would be roughly a $14,000 increase over the current plan from current year, which you're going up $4,000 at renewal anyway because of your salary volumes. But for an additional $10,000, you would expand that life coverage to employees to 2 times their salary, all full-time staff, and you're increasing that line of duty rider to protect your first responders and their families from $50,000 to $100,000. And so staff is recommending making that change for the new plan year. And then on the voluntary life programs, those all stay flat, nothing changes there. So if an employee has voluntary life coverage, the rates won't change. The only time those would change is if they're age attained. So if you go into a new age bracket, your rates are based on whatever your age is and amount of coverage that you've elected as of May 1st, each plan year. And then our short-term and long-term disability programs, those have worked well for us, especially for employees that are going out on FMLA. A lot of times they'll use short-term disability, supplement their income. Maybe they don't have enough sick leave to cover their time off, to run concurrent with FMLA. That stays flat. We currently pay approximately $40,000 for each of those plans, and those rates would stay equivalent for the renewal for the new year. Okay. And then did want to talk about our Sharks program. This is This is probably one of our, and we talked about this back in October. We did a 3-year contract extension with the option to opt out with TrueRx, our PBM. The reason we did that was because there were some changes coming on the pharmaceutical advocacy programs that we would be able to attain, and so we wanted to get that locked in with Shark. So right now, for example, our program, we pay $47,000 a year for that Sharks program. Year-to-date, just through January, it has saved us $150,000 in pharmaceutical costs, projected to save the city about $257,000 by year's end. And member copays saved them $10,000 year-to-date, and we're estimating probably about $18,000 in copay savings. So you got about a 500% return on investment on that Sharks program. And that really, because if we didn't have that, we would have an additional probably almost $300,000 in pharmaceuticals that the city would pay under its current medical plan. So, which was one of the keys why we wanted to lock that in long-term, because those savings, for the last 4 years, we've seen that savings in that $300,000 range on our plan. And again, the members are saving money as well. And the way that program works is if you have certain medications, it's a $350 threshold. Once a medication hits that threshold, if it qualifies, then our traditional PBM, TrueRx, works with Sharks. They transition that medicine from the PBM, which is typically 30-day over-the-counter through the pharmacy, to the Sharks program, and that's usually a 90-day mail order. In simple terms, what you do is you eliminate the middleman, which is the pharmacy, which is where you get markup on medications. And so this has been one of our biggest cost containment components to help us keep our costs down. Because again, pharmaceuticals are rising significantly. I just went through a class the other day, and the United States right now, compared to other first world countries, we pay 10 times more in pharmaceutical costs. And so this is a strategy that a lot of employers are taking with this pharmacy program. And for renewal, we're looking at a 1.5% increase, which is very marginal. $48,254 would be our fee, but we're projected to save $300,000. So again, the numbers pretty much speak for themselves on that program. Okay. And then all other programs, our EAP, we use Hartford for that, so that's a service that's built into our basic life rates. And then we utilize Paylocity for COBRA. That goes well. They really handle all of our payments, administration of that, and so we're recommending keeping those. And then on the proposal you have on page 7 really is your overall 10,000-foot view summary of the plan. When you look at our total plan costs right now for year end, we're forecasted $3.6 million. For renewal for next year with the recommended plan designs and the increase that we're having on the medical side, but is $4.1 million. But I also do advise that, we've seen, while our employee headcount has not really increased a lot, we have had a lot of members added to our plan, whether it's dependents, spouses. So that does drive your cost up. And then, of course, we have seen some high cost claims that, again, we've tried to offset some of that with like pharmaceuticals and other things that we're doing on the plan. By investing in your ancillary plans, that we hope that'll increase utilization to offset and catch things in early detection on the medical side as well. So there is an investment component of that to help try to reduce the medical cost. So, in simple terms, that's the only major changes we're recommending is switching the vision and the dental networks from Delta to Humana.
Thank you, sir.
What'd you say?
Catch me later, Kevin. I'll catch you about 9 o'clock tonight.
He did pretty good.
I'm not so sure you should follow Parks and Rec. You're kind of hurting us here financially.
Yeah. Maybe I should have I thought about that. I was like, yeah, maybe I should have. We had them backwards, I believe. But no, it is, and I think we talk about this a lot too. This is, it is a human capital investment. When you talk about the health plans, they are really a strategic differentiator for the city and the market. When we're recruiting, key talent, we've had a lot of conversations with some of these key talents where our health plan has been kind of that tipping point. Maybe we're comparable on salaries, or maybe we're equal to what their current employer has. But when we offer them our health plan and we sit down and show it, that really tips them to want to come come to the city. So it isn't, so just to the public's benefit, this is an investment in your workforce, it's an investment in your public safety. And so that's, but we are working to do everything we can to contain the cost on this. One of the things we've expanded this year is our wellness programs, our gym memberships. Our employees are using that. John and I were just talking before we came in here that that's going to be probably one of our key goals this year is to realign some things on wellness to try to continue to drive some of this down.
Okay, we have a resolution on the floor. We're in need of a motion and a second. Thank you, Mr. Boyd. Is there a motion or a second?
Sure. I'll move to accept resolution number 2025-03-1001.
Thank you, sir.
Does Mr. Funkhauser make anything off this at all? I'm gonna have to vote. I'm gonna have to vote no. No.
Notice he didn't answer that, right?
Yeah, you didn't.
I think their rates are fixed with us.
Are there other questions or comments?
Second?
Do we have
Yeah,
a
I could
second?
make a, go ahead.
I'll second.
All right.
I didn't hear you say that, so. Okay.
Okay.
I think we want to go forward naturally because we desire to keep this benefit for our employees. It's important to them. And I trust that you and John worked as hard as you can to make it reasonable. We all know where health insurance is, so thank you.
Any other comments? Hearing none, all those in favor of passing this resolution, say aye.
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 Those opposed? Resolution passes. Thank you all. Thank you, John. Randy, thank you for an excellent report. To those who in the audience, we've had this for several days to review it. There's a whole lot of numbers. We didn't just get them today, so we need to remind folks that we get this stuff in advance. And get a chance to call over the weekend to ask Randy questions, but usually he refuses to answer his phone, but we still call him. No, just kidding. Okay, let's go on. City manager report. Do I put any time limit on you, time clock on you?
No, that's okay. Thank you, though. At the beginning, we mentioned a bunch of dates. I won't read those to you. We'll trust that you can align your calendars with those. Would like to point out, though, that March 27th is the Civic Engagement and Local Government Series kickoff at 6 p.m. at the Extension Office. And I think I would ask Melanie, since she's going to be hosting the program, to brag on that a little bit. On the plan, I guess.
Planning, good planning, though.
Well, the mayor has already canceled on me for the first meeting, so I'm gonna need you guys to show
There
up.
you go. There you go.
I was talking to Alethea out at the extension office, and I have a lot of respect for the things they do, and they cover the whole county, and we talked a little bit about, they have these goals every year, and one of those is, just kind of a civics 101 type thing, and I thought, oh, yay. We've talked about that 1,000 times before, so, we will kick that off on March 27th with just kind of a broad overview of the way our form of government works. This timeline will pretty much directly go with our budget. So Lee is going to come along and we'll take a moment on each topic to kind of talk about how that affects our budget and how we look at things during the budget process. So the first night is March 27th, 6 to 8. That's just your general local government. I am begging a couple of you, maybe two.
Oh, four of them.
What's legal?
Four of them standing here.
Two of you to come and help me out with that one. And then on April 24th, we're going to cover utilities, and MJ is coming to talk about stormwater. And she has some activities with Bluegrass Green Source that she's going to do. May 22nd, it's going to be Josh's time to shine and Tommy. So we'll go over parks and roads and then 26th, we're going to do public safety, and we have, Danville Fire, Police, and 911, but we also have the Boyle County agencies coming as well, and emergency management to talk about what they do. And then on July 24th, we've got a couple other outside agencies. Hopefully, we'll have somebody from planning and zoning to come join us, but we have the chamber and CVB and some other groups that will be there that night too, and just talk about how we work together. You can sign up online, or you could call me and let me know you want to come. It's on Facebook as well. We already have about 28 people signed up, so that's exciting. We'll see if they all show up. That'll be great. But, I heard in your last budget meeting that you're thinking about these small groups and about connecting with citizens on that more personal level. So we will take the time during these sessions to hear from them, but also take questions and really explore. And then it's kind of like a dry run. If people show up and they want to engage this way, we'll do more of these kind of things. And I know we talked about some coffee with commissioners, things like that. We can definitely get that set up. So we'll look to the future on doing those kind of things. So, do you have any questions?
Government 101.
Thank you.
Political
Thank you,
science
Melanie.
101.
I appreciate that. Without going all the way through everything, we'll just mention a couple more highlights. The KLC Day, I thank Commissioner Peak and Commissioner Caudle for attending that. I think they had good contacts with our elected officials in Frankfurt. Also, I sent you the KLC update in a PDF form. Hopefully you've signed up for that and you received that. There are bills that do affect local government, that do affect you, that do affect most specifically the citizens. So for example, there's a bill on manufactured housing that reduces local government's role through planning and zoning and regulating anything related to manufactured housing, and specifically, it treats manufactured housing, so long as it meets square footage requirements, the same as stick-framed housing. Generally speaking, if our citizens knew that, there would, we hear that in this office. We hear that through planning and zoning. Last week, I got to watch a citizen come in and express a lot of frustration directed at Ms. Jerry. And so we were able to talk through that because we were there. And I would just suggest to you that to take a moment to educate yourselves. There's a bill on eminent domain that affects how utilities operate. There's other things like the regulation of where recovery residences go. So there's a lot of bills that are being introduced that really impact planning and zoning and how it operates. And so we would just encourage you to look at that. And if you have any comments or want to do a deep dive into a subject, we'll be happy to.
Did you say Airbnbs as well?
Airbnbs is on there, yes. So, I mean, I'm not going to try to cite everything, but I would encourage you to at least get the bulletin from KLC and read it and voice your concerns when you feel it appropriate for you. And certainly, if you want to bring something up for the city commission to do a letter on, we would be happy to coordinate that on our side. If that's a direction that the city commission as a body, as a board wants to take on an issue, we'll be happy to communicate that effectively as we can. The next thing is we had a good meeting on the 250th celebration, which is actually 2026. The county has organized a committee to organize events for that celebration. Former Judge Executive Tony Wilder is heading that up on behalf of the county. We met with them last week. They do have and will have a need for money in the budget process. We would suggest that discussion is forthcoming for you during our budget process, but we would probably put that in our events kind of area of our budget. But I want you to store that in your mind and start thinking about that celebration and how much. The celebration that was similar in Harrodsburg had a significant budget of I want to say like 600,000. I'm not saying that the city needs to do that, and I don't think the county would be willing to do that either. But it does take money to do these things, and I would like to point that out. It does occur over 2 budget cycles, so you would have some money spent in the budget you're going into, but you would also have final invoicing due in the following budget, in the 2027 budget. And like I said, you have a budget update in your packet that we put online today for you. When you look at that, if you would like to come by and get into some detail in some of the line items or anything that is in there, if you have any questions. We are worried about some of our personnel expenses. Almost every department has a stop loss hit on our health insurance. Normally, we would expect 3. We've got several in multiple departments. And so when you get into page of that, you'll get down into page 13 maybe. Yeah, it should be around 13. You'll see some of the personnel, they're broken out, each department's personnel, contract, and other. So when you get into the personnel, you'll see that's trending high. We're aware of that. We're talking with the department heads about ways to try to bring that down, the trajectory of that down so that we can meet our budget. But to the extent practical, those stop loss hits are heavy. But do you have any questions?
Are you finished? Yep.
Yes.
I forgot to mention, or maybe you can qualify this, in going forward with the time change, when does that begin for the meetings?
That'll be the next meeting, the second meeting in March.
I'm pretty sure that was in that ordinance, but I wanted the public to hear that as well, so my mistake.
That was good. Anything else from the city manager? Okay, thank you, sir. We're at that point on our agenda where we hear the public for the second time. We've asked folks who wanted to talk to us to please sure to sign up on the list outside. Madam Clerk, you have some names?
Steve Klein.
Okay, Mr. Klein.
Never heard of him.
Well, mine's kind of small potatoes compared to what we've heard. I think we're going down starting a bad precedence with these small bids. Like last 2 weeks ago, the maintenance mowing contracts. Well, we're going to go with Divine, which I don't know either one of these companies. They were about $3,000 or $4,000 more, but we've been with them for 20 years. We're just going to award that. Now, my question, and I was wishing that one of the commissioners would have asked it, and I know they may have in private conversations. Did we approach Divine and say, hey, we've got a lower bid. Can you do anything with your bid rather than straight up, award that? And same way with the other one, the funeral, or the cemetery or whatever it was. Now, the low bidder, after reading that in the paper, you think they're going to bid next year, knowing that Divine's had it for 20 years? Why even take the time? And, it's just bothered me ever since, because if you was putting a water heater in your house and some company that a plumbing company that's been in business for 20 years in town, that your parents used, or this outside, an outfit from Harrodsburg, well, let's just go with, you would say, hey, so-and-so, can you bring that down a little bit? You're supposed to be a steward of our tax money. Yeah. And that's only, it just kind of is run me raw the last couple of weeks just thinking about it. But no big potatoes.
Well, thank you, sir. But all potatoes are important when it comes to the public's money, though. Is there anyone else?
No, sir.
Oh, no one else? All right, well, let's move along then. She's been waiting very patiently, huh? Okay. Commissioner comments? You get 1 minute or less.
I'm gonna send out some kudos to my nephew, Paul McClure, who won the state wrestling championship heavyweight division and helped Bull come in 4th, I think, overall in the state. So proud of him.
You trained him well.
Yeah, he whooped me easy.
Anyone else?
I just want to say, also thanks to Parks and Rec for the basketball and the programs that they put on. There's a lot of kids out there playing and having a lot of fun. And then yesterday, I have to say, we had our cheer exhibition at Tolliver, and there was 115 kids. And if you know Tolliver, the gym was completely packed. There was nowhere to park outside. So it was a really good event, and our local high schools were invited. All of the schools were invited to come, the high school cheerleaders, and some came, and it was just a really good event for the kids. So,
I'm laughing, excuse me, I'm laughing because I came by about 3 o'clock, and I said, man, look at this maze over here. I said, oh, man, I'm late for a PTO meeting at Danville Elementary School on a Sunday. It was a crowd. Yes, ma'am. Well,
I just wanted to give a shout out to the DCA Lady Warriors. They won the region last week and are going to state Thursday night at Rupp, if you can make it. I think it might be 8, I'm not sure.
the boys?
The boys are playing tonight. They're still doing the regional semifinals.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, we
And-
hope to have them at the meeting soon.
Right.
Our time slots have conflicted with their schedule. I know they already made their round to the county, but that's partly because that was in the morning.
I wanted to thank the water department too for sending out the education materials on recycling. That was very helpful. Many of us have it on our refrigerators, and on the back is the recycle schedule. So thank you for starting the education program.
And please continue, right? Other comments?
I agree on the recycling. I think it's taken hold, and what I've noticed, as in my case, a lot of people only had 1 can, now they got 2, so that was one of the big problems. But so last physical court meeting I went to, I was learning a lot, and they did honor our DCA folks, so we'll look forward to seeing them. But I also thought what was interesting and positive is that we do good taking care of our dogs in the county. They spent about 30 minutes talking about cat control, and I think they got a handle on it, so that's good too.
Yeah. Okay, other comments? The DCA thing, guys, we've already had them here for the small schools thing, small schools thing. This is the big one here. They're going to the big state tournaments, and the boys are playing the championship, right? Yeah, it was all they winning, right, okay. Okay, other commissioner comments? Hearing none, let's go right ahead. That clock's got me really twisted around up there. It says it's 6 o'clock. Next item is payment of bills. Chair would entertain a motion to pay the bills as presented.
I'll make a motion to approve the bills as presented.
Thank you, ma'am. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, sir. Any comments, questions?
Just to acknowledge the amount,
Yes, ma'am.
which I could, $1,393,530.48. Sometimes people at home say they want to hear the amount.
Oh, that's okay. Should be a part of the motion. That's right.
It's quite big.
Yeah, at $30.59 my part, so, okay. Any other comments or questions? Hearing none, call for the question. All those in favor of this resolution, say aye.
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 All those opposed? All right. Next item is Resolution 2025-03-1002, fiscal year 24 audit engagement letter. Ms. Compton?
So in your packet, you have presented the audit engagement letter for the fiscal year 24 audit, which is the 7/1/23 through 6/30/24 period, with our current audit firm, Cherry Beckert. They, as Ms. Waters discussed at the previous meeting, their anticipated start is mid-April after tax day on I think it's the 15th officially this year, with anticipated completion in July. Costs are to remain flat for the upcoming year at $61,250, which is still less than our previous audit firm for prior years.
Thank you, ma'am. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 2025-03-1002.
I'm a second.
Thank you, ladies. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. Resolution 2025-03-1003, Balls Branch Sewer Bid Award. Mr. Carrier?
Thank you, Mayor. On February 11th of this year, City of Danville publicly opened bids for construction of the Balls Branch Sanitary Sewer North Phases 1 through 3 project. This includes approximately 4,000 linear feet of new 12-inch and 15-inch PVC sanitary sewer gravity lines from the Balls Branch Sewer Collection System that exists now south of Ghost Pike and extend northward to serve various properties along the project corridor, including Bypass Center future development. The City of Danville will own and operate the new sanitary sewer infrastructure once it's completed, and this also includes 4 major gas transmission undercrossings, not overcrossings, but undercrossings. We had good turnout, good competition in the bids. We had 9 bids, which is really good. They were very wide-ranging, from $736,845 to $3,655,403. Conhurst LLC was the low bid for the sum of $736,845.
I entertain a motion on this resolution.
I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 2025-03-1003.
Thank you, ma'am. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, sir. Questions or comments?
Yeah, it's too bad Mr. Hospitality left, because that's a big spread, and we did take the low bid.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's Conhurst is a company out of Northern Kentucky. I did a little research on them, called around some of their references that they had listed in their bid proposal, and got some good feedback from folks. It's a relatively large firm with a lot of equipment, so, you know, a lot of the, if you do run into rock, it's always the question of will there be rock on gravity sewer? It can lead to really, really expensive construction costs. But based on the amount of equipment that they have and the work that they've previously done, it sounds like they're prepared to do this kind of work at that approximate price range. So we feel pretty confident with them.
Thank you, sir. All those in favor of passing this resolution, 3-1003, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, thank you all, motion carries. Next item is resolution 2025-03-1004, sewer remediation. Is that Brooks Acres?
Thank you, Mayor. High Cliff Properties is working on a development. It's a residential subdivision off Boffman Avenue. Our city personnel recently inspected the existing gravity clay sewer pipe that traverses the area, and we've determined that it's need to be replaced in kind, just based on the conditions of the old clay pipe, and want to maintain good sanitary conditions for the public and structural integrity, not only for the additional flow for the development, but the pass-through flow. This actually carries pass-through flow from various areas of the city. It'll be replaced with new 8-inch PVC sanitary sewer pipe, and we determined that the emergency replacement of the existing 8-inch gravity sewer is deemed appropriate at this time. So the current contractor is Clonch Construction, and they've given us a cost to do that. And I've also, if there's an attachment, there's an Excel sheet that I created in the back of your packet, along with a highlighted depiction of the gravity sewer that's going to be replaced with the city's work. And on that Excel sheet, you can see that Clonch Construction provided some equipment and labor per linear foot costs. So part of that is actually provision of the materials, which the city is going to provide the materials, the 8-inch sewer line, the PVC line to be replaced, but also administer the bypass pumping from Blue Tank, who's a company in Nicholsville that we've used before. So if you add all that up, you're looking at approximately $49,287.15. You know, so of which we've negotiated a little bit with Blue Tank, and a portion of that would be what would go to the contractor, which totals $34,302.50 out of that total.
Thank you, sir. What's your pleasure, commissioners? Anybody want to make a motion?
I move to accept resolution number 2025-031004.
Thank you, sir. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, ma'am. Questions or comments?
I just want to clarify, so this whole thing is 55,000, right, as stated?
Well,
You threw out some other numbers there.
the original estimate was 55,000, but since the resolution was drafted, we've discussed it with Blue Tank and some of the vendors, and
Okay.
they've came down on some of their prices.
So
So
does
it
that,
should not exceed.
does that need to be changed in the resolution?
This would just authorize an expenditure up to that amount.
Okay.
It doesn't need to be changed.
Thank you,
Yeah,
sir.
and just to clarify, the work while the development is going on is, if you wait, the price will be much higher because you'll be renovating it after construction and the development of their infrastructure. If you'll recall, we've done some I&I work down that trunk line before, the McKinley Street project. Donna should remember that from years ago, Kevin May. So this is the upgrade of that portion of that trunk line that will ultimately tie into Clark's Run. And the hope would be to renovate it all in the future.
Thank you, sir. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Mr. Carey, you have the next one. 31005, Harriet Company change order number 4.
Thank you, Mayor. This is in relation to change order number 4, the Spears Creek Sewer Pump Station Project, which is ongoing. This is to address additional required electrical components, pump startup, and epoxy coatings for valve vaults. This change order will also add 95 days to the contract for pump installation and startups, HVAC installation, coatings application, and flowable fill around the wet wells. You're looking at a cost increase of $22,976 from utility capital on the existing contract. And I wanted to also point out, if you remember when we let this job originally and awarded it to Herrick, change order number 1, there was a $100,000 cost deduction that we took out of the contract. If you remember, that was for Buy America, Build America requirements that we were able to take out off the top. So out of all the change orders and everything that we've done to date, if you take all the change orders to date out of that, you still got about $17,464 left out of that total $100,000 savings. So we're still in the good for the project overall. I just wanted to clarify that.
Thank you, sir.
Move for approval of resolution 2025-03-1005.
Thank you, sir. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, ma'am. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, likewise, motion carries. Thank you all. Thank you, Mr. Carrier. Josh, you're up next. Welcome sign update.
Trying to get my microphone to work. Thank you all. So Melanie and I have been working for a few months now and trying to get this welcome sign. She's shaking her head. We've been working with USA Signs. We awarded the contract to them back in the fall. We've been going back and forth for a while now. We've probably been too picky on this, but we felt like it was pretty important. So in your package, you have the latest sketch of the sign that we've asked them to move forward with. We thought it was good enough now to bring it to you all, to get a little feedback and say, are we on the right track or not? If we're not, I don't know. We'll have to start over again. But we tried to create something that kind of, we had some of the modern components of our logos. We tried not to be, we know this is something that will be about 20 years, right? Will be the life of it. That's kind of the way we looked at this. And hey, what's something we could create here that's got a modern feel, but also leans into the historic nature of our community? So we tried to use a more modern kind of font, but leaned into the historic materials. So the brown you see on there is actually would be a wood. We can pick out the kind of the wood color later on. They said they'd give us some samples and stuff. So that's kind of a stand-in color. I wouldn't, don't focus on that too much because we can really kind of make it more brown, more lighter. We could move that around to a point that we really like with some samples. But the tricky part of this sign, if we go with what we have here, will be the columns that you see that are stone. We're going to reuse the existing stone bases, so we save that money and also keeps us from having to re-up our encroachment permits and all those kind of things if they're in state right-of-way, so it kind of reuses the same base. We'll have to try to match that stone with those stone columns, which, we've had discussions with USA Signs about that, and they seem to think they can do that. So we really just wanted to give you all an update because I know this is something that we've been waiting on for a while. We really need to replace our existing signs. They're in pretty rough shape. So any feedback you've got would be great. Anything you like about it was my idea. Anything you don't like about it was Melanie's idea. So we'll go from there.
I like the overall design myself.
I do, I like it as well. And tell us once again how many signs and what cost you think are.
There are 7 signs. I pulled this up earlier. Let me find this here. There were the 7 signs in the bid that the guaranteed maximum price that they proposed to us back last year was $87,920 for all 7 signs. That will probably go up slightly. We have through this process have made the sign bigger, which they kind of indicated if it gets bigger, your costs are going to go up. So we kind of said, okay, which that was well under our budget that we had. We had budgeted $200,000 for this project. So at the time, $87,000. We kind of felt like we had a little wiggle room if we wanted to grow a little bit. One other cost that we're going to have as the city that Rick Henry at Public Works is working on for us is we got not all of the signs have electric to them right now. Some of them are lit and some of them are not. So we have 3 signs we need to get electricity to if we want to light them like you see in that lower picture of the 2 pictures. So he's working hard on that. There'll be some cost involved with that. I don't have those numbers yet. When I get those, I'll bring those back to you because a lot of the cost is just going to be getting electricity to the location of the sign, which is going to be pretty easy on 2 of them. The Stanford Road one's going to be pretty difficult. We might have to be creative. We might have to do some solar or something there because there's not power within. We're going to have to cross one of the highways to get power to that sign. So we're researching that, trying to figure out the best way to go. But if you all feel like we're on a good path here, we can just keep pushing forward and dial it in and show it to the public at some point, maybe. And see, we wanted to make sure you all were good with it before we started showing it to the public. And if
There's no greenery in the boxes or beside the
well,
boxes? Or is
that
part of it?
to be determined kind of on that. I like the idea of it, but we've always struggled. The environment's really harsh. I mean, Janet, once those original shrubs once they went, we struggled to find anything that would live in those. It was, and I feel like that if you don't,
They're an elevated planter.
Yeah.
So if you're going to do any vegetation, I would suggest it be on the ground adjacent to the foundation, something that it can get a little bit more
I know
natural.
this community wants some greenery.
which that's one thing. Jane and I talked about the original plan 30 years ago with the welcome signs had a lot of landscaping around the stone base in front, beside. So we may go back to that kind of model and try to put some, vegetation on the sides, some small trees. We'll dig into that a little bit more. Some of it will depend on how we build this sign. If there's actually room for there to be vegetation in there, because if this is going to be it's going to be a thicker sign. It's going to need a sturdier base. So we're going to have to pour some concrete down in there. There might not be space for vegetation in there once we determine how they're built. But that's, we'll get some greenery in there with some flowers. We'll figure something out to spruce it up with some vegetation.
Yeah. I like the bottom one, the lights, how it makes the welcome to City First kind of pop out. I was wondering if there's anything you could do to the sign just generally to make it so it kind of pops during the daytime too. I don't know what that would be. I'm just
I don't know.
shooting
We can
from the hip.
talk to USA Signs and see if there's. Yeah, that's one thing you can notice on there is it's three-dimensional. Like there's some,
Okay.
those letters kind of stand out from what they're on. So that's hard to see in that, it's kind of a 2D rendering.
Is that a nighttime view?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is very attractive. Is the bottom portion digital that you can change out, or is it just?
No, it's
Basic.
just basic signage, yeah.
Is the, around the wood, is that like rod or metal? What kind
Yes,
of a
black metal, yes.
Black metal.
Yeah.
It blends in well with the new signage around our community.
That's what we kind of leaned into that too hard at first, and it made it too modern. And it was too much. We had to back off that pretty quick and kind of orient ourselves. But, yeah, we feel like it touches on that, but also fits in with the kind of historic nature of what we've tried to do in the past. I don't know.
Yeah, good job, I think.
I like it. Did you guys think about, and maybe it just didn't work, home of Center College? Is it?
Yeah, we tossed around some ideas of like having different kind of things on the different signs, like one of them being like Homo Center, like it got a little too complicated. We simplified. That's you can kind of tell by the sign. At one point we were just simplified, make it put as little on there as possible just to get it. And then we kind of started working back from there because it got out of hand a little bit. It was very busy. The signs got very, very busy. So we kind of pulled it back in and just leaned into the things that were City of Danville, city at first, and then
Make
we
it
made sure we
home
put the
of Donald
sister city stuff on there.
Leaning into your wayfinding signs for things like that probably makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like it. I don't want to cause any more work or anything. It's just Center College is historical. It's a big deal.
We can look, I mean, we can see how that looks, adding some things and come back to you all, and we'll think about that. USA Signs, they're quick to work with us when we ask for things. They get us renderings back pretty quick, so we can throw stuff on there and see how it looks.
Yeah,
That's how we've had to do it so far. It's surprising. You'll have ideas and you'll throw it out there and you'll get it and oh, that looks great, or no, that looks terrible. Do it again. You really can visually see how things look. And
Well, I think this is very, in a sense, neutral is probably not the right word, but to me, it's very neutral. It's not home of Center College, home of Beef McDowell, home of
Kevin
Jenny
Cottle.
Holland, the ex-home of Kevin Cottle. So I think this is really, I like the Sister Cities thing myself. I can't ever spell it, but then I'll learn how to spell it, right?
Maybe Center College will help fund it if we put their name on it.
there we go. Yeah.
Leave it alone. Okay. Josh, you got the next item? You wanna
Thank you all.
No action on this.
No, we'll come back with, I think we'll try to come back with some more finished designs and get an official selection, and also come back with a new price from USA Signs, because I think that will slightly go up. Okay. Over here to my next item.
Oh, I'm sorry. Someone probably be awarded.
Yep. So we had a public auction on March 1st. They started as an online auction, but then turned into a live auction at 10 a.m. that day. The auction started at zero, and we watched it all the few days before, and it started to climb the morning of. By the time the auction started there at the site, I think it was at 170,000. Kind of got down to two bidders, one on site and one online, going back and forth for a while. Finally landed, the high bid was $205,000. Richard Reed and Stuart Mart are the buyers. They have signed the sale contract. We have it here for when this gets approved, the mayor can sign it, and then we can start the process of schedule the closing. And that exceeded the amount that we had said is our reserve, so we recommend approval of the bid.
Chair would entertain a motion.
I'll move to approve Resolution 2025-03-1006.
Thank you, ma'am.
Second.
Thank you, sir. Any other questions or comments?
I've seen these guys, rehab work they've done, they do a good job.
Hearing none, all those in favor of this resolution, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, resolution passes. Josh? 2503-1007, streetlight LED conversion proposal.
Yeah, after we had you know, KU did a proposal for us last year for some LED lights around the center campus and down in that area of town. We saw the savings that we were going to receive after those conversion fees fell off. We asked KU to make another proposal for a larger conversion. In your package you have, they had to split it into two different proposals because they were so large. But the total amount is, it's 803 streetlights, converting those to LED. You have a map in your packet that shows the areas of town. It's a lot of areas of town. I think they primarily did a lot of the Cobra headlights on our major roads because I think those are, you know, those price out a little bit better for us on the conversion. And what the finances of it will be is there'll be a conversion fee put on top of our bills for 60 months to convert those lights. That's going to raise our monthly bill by $186.58 for the next 60 months. After that fee falls off in 5 years, we will save $2,455.29 per month. That's a really good payback. I mean, that will be, it will pay back in 4 months. So I think, you know, we recommend going forward with this. I think the finance director probably likes this.
I mean, ideally it would be quicker, but.
Yeah. So that, like I said, this will add, I did the math, you know, 12 months, you know, it'd be about $2,300 on our annual budget that will add on to next year's budget. But that's, our streetlight bill's $500,000. So that's a very, very minimal increase, which hopefully one day will result in a lot of savings. So,
You said the savings was over $2,000 per month?
yes.
Wow. We need a motion on this one? We have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 2025-03-1007.
Thank you, ma'am. And there's a second.
Second.
Thank you, sir. All those, any questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. Josh?
Yes, thank you.
24.
Next in your packet is the 2024 Recreational Trails Grant Acceptance. We received a letter from the Department of Local Government that they have selected our 2024 Recreational Trails Grant application to move forward to the next round, which will then go to, you know, we will receive this money. So this is to extend the 2168 Trail to Harrisburg Road and hopefully up to Gentry Lane. We applied for $250,000, which requires a match to that. We actually only received, they reduced our amount to $150,000, which we're thankful. Because they asked us when we went up to do the presentation that, would we okay taking less money? He said, yes, whatever we can get. As far as we can go, we're going to go with this money. So we're recommending that we accept, we have to send them a letter by the end of this week accepting the $150,000. This will require a match of $150,000 to finish the project, and we'll budget that in next year's budget. But like I said last time with the Land and Water Grant, you know, it's probably 2 years out from us actually doing this work. You know, like the Stanford Road, it took us 2 years to get that money. That's the same pot of money. So we'll put it in next year's budget, but it's probably more like FY27 before the money gets spent.
Josh said 150,000, it's 20% match, the match is 30,000 on the baseline grant application. You may add money to the project, but the budgeted allocation is 30.
Okay, good, good.
So it's 30,000 match, not 150?
20% match.
I move to accept resolution number 2025-03-1008.
Thank you, sir. Is there a second?
Second.
He moved quick on that one, didn't he?
And I do have a question. I'm really confused. We're talking about 2168 Trail, yet now therefore we're talking about Clark's Run Trail. It confuses me. Can you help me out with that? The last paragraph of this resolution.
That would just be some type of malfunction in my cranium, most likely. I don't know what I was thinking when I did that. It should refer to the 2168 Trail. I'm sorry.
I don't want to put you on the spot, but I don't think we
Well, you
want to
did, but
pass
that's
something
okay,
unless it
Commissioner.
says it
Thank
correctly.
you.
Whoops.
So we're going to make that change?
Yes.
Yeah,
We can do that administratively. You can pass it as it is.
okay.
Do we have a motion in a second? Do we all for a loop? We have a motion in a second? All right, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. I don't see Chief Gray back there. Who's going to? Oh, there he is, all right. Yes, sir. Head.
All right, Mayor, Commissioners. Our first one is our telecommunication section is asking for permission to apply for a grant. This grant is, will help integrate our CAD software to help streamline and make our emergency medical dispatching more efficient, is what they're asking for. All the details regarding costs associated with it are provided in your packets. So if we could get approval to start that process, please.
Commissioners, what's your pleasure? Is there a motion?
I'll make, go ahead.
I'll move to approve Resolution 2025-03-1009.
Thank you, ma'am, and
Second.
thank you, ma'am. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I have a question. So is this is new? Do we not currently have this?
We have a version of it, but
Okay.
we're operating on two different systems. So this
Okay.
will make it more efficient because it's going to integrate those systems to help provide better pre-scene instructions to your callers and things
Yeah.
like that when they're doing the emergency medical dispatching.
That would be neat.
Yes.
Thank you.
I almost got by you, didn't I? We voted on that one, right? Let's go on.
All
Next
right.
item.
Next is approve payment for our annual maintenance cost associated with our WatchGuard system. This is going to include our yearly fees and subscription fees for our cloud system, our software, our body cameras, and our in-car systems. We'd like to approve that payment, please.
Thank you, sir.
I move for approval of Resolution 2025-03-1010.
Thank you, sir. Is there a second?
Second.
Any questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Thank you all. Now, the chair would like to entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Kevin was quick.
So moved.
For the purpose of litigation, property acquisition, and personnel.
Okay, the clock back there says 6:30, so I'm back out here by 7 o'clock, right?
That's up to you all.
Is it for all three?
Is it for all three?
I'll make a motion to go into executive session to discuss personnel matter pursuant to KRS 61.810-1F, and also for litigation under pursuant to 68.810-1C.
61.810.
61.810-1C.
Thank you.
Yeah. And for property acquisition under KRS 61.810-1B.
Thank you, ma'am. Is there a
I will
second?
second.
All those opposed, say no. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Can't catch y'all sleeping. I thought this Favor? Say
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Who's going to go first, city attorney or city manager?
Mayor, staff would ask that you accept a motion to approve a waiver for joint representation agreement in regards to a lawsuit styled Cindy Lou Hardwick et al. Versus the city of Danville and others.
So moved.
Thank you, sir. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, ma'am. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Those opposed, motion carries. All right, what else you got?
Staff is recommending the hiring of Kyra DeWitt to the position of telecommunications officer.
Thank you, sir. Is there a motion?
I'll move to accept that.
Thank you, ma'am. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Mm-hmm. You have one more?
Thank you. Staff is recommending the reclassification of Christopher Reynolds from water distribution superintendent to water distribution operator, class 4.
So moved.
Thank you, sir. Is there a second? Thank you, ma'am. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you all. Chair, will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Heck, yeah.
Second. Second, yeah.
Thank both of you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you.